Good evening, everyone. We'd like to call this meeting to order. And welcome everyone online or in person. We're glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. We'd like to start the meeting with our land acknowledgement, and Deja's gonna honor us with that.
We honor the first peoples of these lands by acknowledging that the area in which we gather is within the traditional territory of the Still-Guamish tribe of Indians. The Still-Guamish people have inhabited these lands and waters since time immemorial, and their ancestors have remained in this territory to this day. The Still-Guamish people have continued gathering. The Still-Guamish tribe has had these lands and cultural traditions passed on to them by their ancestors who believe that everything has a spirit and that they are caretakers of these lands and waters.
Thank you, Deja. Next, we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance. It'll be led by Nathan, and he's gonna honor us with some sign language.
Ready?
By the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you to our student administrator for helping us get our meeting started. We appreciate that. Next up, we'll have our roll call attendance. Madam Clerk.
Director Diamond. Director Kelly,
Here.
Director Watts,
Here.
President Levesque,
Here.
Director Knapp,
Here.
Student Advisor Nickel, Student Advisor Reed.
Here.
Superintendent Susan.
Here. Thank you. Next up, we'll have our approval of the agenda. Is there anything anyone would like to change or amend on the agenda? Or do we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
And second, it's been moved by Director Knapp and seconded by Director Watts to approve the agenda as presented. Madam Clerk.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Director Watts,
Aye.
President Levesque,
Aye.
Director Knapp.
Aye. Thank you. The agenda is now approved. And that brings us to our presentation portion of our meeting. And we'd like to first welcome this is our presentation of the AESD accreditation plaque to Weston High School. And we'd like to welcome our Northwest ESD 189 Super ESD board member, Corey Duskin. Thank you for coming. Would you like to come on up? And we'll have our Weston folks come on up too.
So good evening. First I'd like to again introduce Mother East Miami Blanco, Superintendent with Northwest CSD, all 3 months and 14 days. So excited to be here, and Corey Duskin is one of our Northwest CSD board members. So again, just want to share a little bit of background of this information. So the purpose for their achieving their initial and or renewed accreditation status for the next 6 years, which is 2024 through 2030. And that's been going through this accreditation process. I do want to share a little bit more about what ESDs are, I hope, because I've been doing it for a while. But ESDs are a regional service center and organization that really serves anywhere from early childhood education all the way through K-12 public education. There are nine ESDs in the state of Washington. And this ESD, our Northwest CSD, worked with 5 counties. So it's Snohomish, Skagit, Whatcom, Island school districts, and 1 compact school as well. The ESDs are governed by a board of directors elected by youth school board, and those are all boards within the Northwest ESD region. The Northwest ESD board member in attendance, again, as I mentioned, is Corey Duskin. So Washington has these 9 ESDs that collectively form what we call an AESD. That's an Association of Educational Service Districts. While ESDs primarily serve the needs of their respective regions as a statewide network to provide common at-scale service at the state level. Accreditation is one example of how they do that. So instead of all 9 ESDs doing the same work, it makes sense to maybe have 1 ESD take the lead in that work. And the process that apply, the AESDs have been accrediting schools since the early mid 2000s, and it's the largest accrediting body in the state of Washington in schools. The process applies to all types of schools, primarily but not exclusively high school. So some examples are comprehensive high schools, alternative themed, and or private. Again, as I mentioned earlier, that Northwest CSD serves as a statewide lead agency for the ESD accreditation process. So one would ask, what is accreditation and why do we do this? So historically, it has been a bureaucratic process that provides an external stamp of approval on a school based on certain measures of questionable relevance. So now it's no longer required, it's no longer a required process, study process. Yet the goal is still to communicate an independent external standard of quality that creates a valid, credible reputation for the school and the community it serves. The process utilizes peer review to help schools identify and develop their strengths, ensure effective governance, and improve operation we want to do. The primary objective of the accreditation process is to promote ongoing school improvement. So AESD accreditation coaches work with school leadership to facilitate the development of the school improvement plan. That school improvement plan is a requirement, it's a statutory requirement, so it makes sense to maybe use this AESD accreditation process to make that happen. So the AESD accreditation coaches are typically usually retired secondary or district administrators. I'm curious who was here for your process last year.
Dr. Scott Peacock.
Okay, yeah, which he's a familiar name, I'm sure. Thank you. The process encompasses about a 6-step cycle of inquiry, action, and improvement that is grounded on 4 foundational requirements. It's data-driven, it's student achievement focused, research-based foundation and actions, and collaboratively determined. In other words, it really does include staff, students, and parents. The accreditation process typically takes over the course of a year and culminates in a final approval by a panel of voluntary ESD board members. And we do this in 2 areas, one on the east side of the state and one on the west side of the state. Let's see here. The process requires, like I said, the SIP development and collaboration with staff, students, and parents. So it's nice that it is inclusive of those. And it's not just an administrative driven process. Once that's approved, once that goes to approval, the 6-year period of time, you get the approval, then you assess progress and or adjustments to that school improvement process. So why do schools want to be accredited? Well, again, ASD is a facilitated coach improvement planning process, which is a statutory requirement, as I mentioned, and it does provide that external review and the validation of the school improvement plan. And it is an accreditation and a statement of accountability to the public. So it's nice to have a third party to share that. And the process does align to accreditation requirements for that continuous school improvement plan, as I shared earlier. So as part of the final approval, there's the voluntary ESD board member panel shares usually like commendations of the school's improvement efforts. And so with that, I want to invite Corey to kind of just share what was shared about Weston High School with that commendation.
You bet. Accreditation. I have had the opportunity to take part in those, and I do appreciate all the hard work that you and your staff and the Arlington community had to do for this. So in the letter that you've received or will be receiving, does say Weston High School is to be commended as follows. The investment of staff in the well-being and overall success of all students attending Weston is clear in the involvement of planning and follow through professional development for the adults on site.
Very good.
All right.
And with that, let's see, Principal Dixon, 100 mark.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And we've known each other for about what? 10 minutes? Yeah. So with that, we are here tonight to recognize Weston High School for successfully completing the AESD accreditation process during the 23-24 years. So they did that last year, earning their 6-year AESD accreditation plan. So with that, I want to officially give her what?
Yeah, make it come out. Good news. There you go, perfect. Scoot together, there you go, perfect. And right here, please. Nice, big, small, no blinking. That's great, thank you.
With that, let's hear it again for Weston High. So I just want to close with that the school has also received some electronic logo of the AESD accredited. And please use it in all media because it really is an honor to be an accredited school. I didn't share this here, but I know that even though it's not a or other value adds within it. So really, again, it's really something to be very proud of. And thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Congratulations to Weston and all that you do. Thank you for being here tonight-ish. Next up, we have our student presentation and internship report from our summer that we just completed, and we'd like to welcome up Lisa Rodino Smith, our AS, and some students that you brought with you. Would you like to introduce them, and could they please come to the front?
Oh, no.
You will love this part. This is the best.
I've got Kaylee Larson and Colin Hall and Lisa Norris. So we're gonna go ahead and go through this. Okay. No, you're good. Oh, no, you're good. These are all of the companies that we had cooperative agreements with for the internship program. We 23 students were interested, 16 students were placed, 2 did not get their first choice, so opted not to do it. 8 students decided not to, and then we finally had 13 students who pursued, 12 from AHS and 1 from Weston. We also, the bottom part said there are 7 internships that did not have any applications whatsoever. So we had one at the Arlington Food Bank, City of Arlington GIS, Everett Engineering, their front office. Another accounting. Nobody wanted to do accounting this year, which was okay. Last year, we had accounting. This year, we also had a horticulture as well as the Washington State PTA Leadership Development. So we had a number of them that didn't have applications. So we are going to start with Colin, and he's going to talk for a minute or two about his internship as a video production assistant.
Hello, my name is Colin Hall. I interned with A Huge Production, which is a video production company. And I really think this internship allowed me to, I guess, further pursue a career I was interested in without investing as much time or money into it. And it gave me a great opportunity to pursue something I feel passionate in without having to, I don't know, like commit myself fully to it, like go to a film school or something like that. I did a lot of projects with them, that was super fun. And towards the end of the internship, I conducted my own little project where I interviewed local artists around Arlington and just sort of dived more into their art and what they were into and why and how they got into it and all that. And it was just a great.
Next, we've got Ethan.
Hi, my name's Ethan, and I was part of the shop part of Everett Engineering, which is a welding machine shop on Everett. And I pretty much did everything from being a welder's grinder girl to working on like a $4 million train fan for a train tunnel from BNSF in Montana. And as you can see in that picture, like within the first couple of days, they had me working on math problems to try and figure out non-symmetrical bolt holes for a bearing seal for a ferry boat. Thank you, Mr. Baylor, for teaching me math. They hired me. And then once the school year is over and I graduate, they'll hire me back again. So we make the shop.
Very nice.
Cool.
Good job. And Haley did an internship down at Providence.
Hi, I'm Kaylee Larson. I did an internship at Providence. Regional trip was kind of like I want to go into. I mean, it's been iffy, but I definitely want to pursue a medical career, and that kind of helped me understand like what I'm getting into exactly. I think the biggest thing that I enjoyed was working with the kids at Camp Prof in North Oncology. So there's definitely older people. So I really enjoyed it, and I mean, it really helped me.
And we will just breeze through a couple of more. We had a cooperative agreement, this broccoli. So it was then planted and they harvested it. Last year was their first year, and due to some bad seeds, I was told, and late start, they harvested about 2,300 pounds worth of food. This year, they harvested 12,500 food. So really growing, great project. The intern worked a lot at the garden as well as the harvesting and taking it to the food bank. We offer, they can Diane kind of like caters it to what the student wants, which were individuals. And then she and Colin worked on a cooperative agreement, a cooperative thing towards the 4th of July. And Chloe's service learning project was to collect socks for kids' closet. And she collected 2 garbage cans worth of socks for kids' closet this year. We also had Lucas. He did a summer coach internship with Momentum Performance Training. His highlight was working with older people in the morning and then going and teaching and working with volleyball and cheerleaders in the evening. So the vast variety and what you can actually do with coaching or PT or those types of things really gave him an opportunity to see what was out. Really starting to make some connections between health and the high schools. Put in this poster is actually in all of the bathrooms in Arlington High School, Weston High School, and the middle schools. Finally, there's a true passion for animals and really found one of the interns, the highlight of the NOAA Center was identified an unhealthy animal. And they were immediately for the rest of the things. So just the keen eye and both of them, I know that Rachel is definitely doing something with animals. Anya, not quite, I don't know if she quite has that. But some of the things, I mean, they love the patients. They love the students that go through this. At first, they're like, oh, I don't know if I want to give up 90 hours, but they all end up having a really good time. And then some of the highlights were just seeing the smiles and whenever they finally got something and the skills that they had or learning something new. And the one delivery in and of itself. So awesome program. We will continue it and we'll see what this fourth year brings. Yes.
So my curiosity would be, you mentioned something like 6 internships were not availed, they were not pursued, and I was curious, have been pursued by students?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
With the accounting ones, obviously, I would go into Jill Hatfield's class and say, hey, we've got these opportunities. Some of the students don't want GIS. We brought in Katie Heim a couple of times. I think I might try to do a job shadow with her, maybe a couple of students.
That'd be
throughout the
great.
year,
That's a really good skill.
in order for them to be able to understand what's actually going on.
So you think it could be a lack of internship entails, and if the kids don't know, then they're.
I think it's not wanting to give up their summer, their 90 hours, and also possibly not knowing what it is about.
Yeah.
So doing a better job of being more intentional. And again, if I can get more kids out into the community with those particular internships, like GIS, I have a faint understanding of what it is. Katie talks to me all the time and I'm like, I think I understand, but if I can have people go there and see it, that might be a bit more beneficial, and that's one of the things I'm hoping to do.
Yeah, kind of what you mentioned with accounting is like, maybe you talk to Katie and say, what's the skill set you need? And then, so if I was going to the high school, what courses would we be pursuing? And, I'm sorry, the gentleman who did the what is your name again? Ethan, yeah, that is a great opportunity. And what I would say is congratulations on your work ethic too, because it's more than just you showed up, but you obviously demonstrated the maturity. Like I'm really that is, that's just, if not more value. They go in and like, yeah, I don't want to do
situations. I mean, I can think of one particular a couple of years ago came back and she's like, that is not what I thought it would be too.
Okay.
And I said, okay, let's talk about what you did learn.
Mhm.
Let's talk about the skills that you learned. Okay, you didn't like that, but you learned resilience. Let's talk about maybe there was a confrontation, you dealt with how to work with people. I said, those are all soft skills that are going to serve you in the future. So it's okay, good or bad.
Right, because it's more than just the pathway to some job. It's all those other parts.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Glad to hear those stories. Good job.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, students, for coming tonight and sharing your experiences. What an incredible opportunity. Next up is our approval of our minutes. We have our study session and regular meeting minutes from September 23rd minutes, or do we have a motion to 23rd?
I make a motion to approve the study session and meeting minutes from September 23rd.
I second.
It's been moved by Director Watts and seconded by Director Kelly to approve the study session and regular meeting minutes from September 23rd. Madam Clerk. Director Kelly.
Aye.
Director Watts.
Aye.
President Levesque. Aye. Director Knapp. Yes.
Slightly, yes.
Thank you. Those minutes are approved. Next up comes our public comment portion of our meeting. And I have one person that signed up to speak. We're glad that we have a public comment tonight. And I'm just going to read a little script so that we all know what to expect. The board recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of involving members of the public in its meetings. The board appreciates feedback in order to make the best decisions possible to benefit students. In order to permit fair and orderly expression of public comment, the board will provide a period of time at the beginning of each regular meeting during which visitors may address the board on any topic within the scope of the board's responsibility. Anyone addressing the board tonight, whether it be in person or virtually, has completed a public comment form and read and agreed to the district. When I call your name, please step up to an invasion of privacy, violate school district, are disruptive, irrelevant, libelous, slanderous, or profane. And please limit your comments to 3 minutes. The board does not respond to questions during the business meeting in order to comply with the state signal agreement or endorsement of the speaker's remarks. Depending on the nature of your topic or questions, the superintendent may ask staff to contact you to answer questions or provide information. The board president may interrupt or terminate an individual statement if it is be given one opportunity. Mr. Rob Hollis, thank you for coming.
For letting me take a moment to speak to you. My fun part of the high school is getting to be part of the robotics team and coach the young men and women that are kind of pushing into STEM and tech. I'm here to try. They've recently given us a donation that'll be on your agenda. I believe it's item D. Recognized and kind of said, we like this out to the community, both in the high school and to the broader community that includes their service area. From the Still-Guamish tribe, feeding into our boosters account, it helps us to do in the community. Without their, that we see that we want to be good custodians to that, and we appreciate the board and their having them on the agenda for today.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. We appreciate them very much. Next is of our personnel report, our payroll report, our warrants, the Still-Guamish Tribe of Indians donation to the Washington First Robotics AHF Neobots Club, the overnight field trip for AHS DECA to Bellevue, an overnight and out-of-state field trip for AHS Journalism to Philadelphia, an overnight Skills USA Fall Leadership Camp to Auburn in October, and an overnight trip for AHS Cheer to the state championships in January. Also, our Snohomish County Human Services Early Childhood Education Contract Amendment and approval of JUMP Service Agreement for Student and Teacher Device Management and Security. Also includes our Mental Health Counselor Cooperative Agreement Renewal and our federal and state grants overview. Is there anything anyone would like to pull from the consent agenda for further discussion, or do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as presented. A second.
It's been moved by Director Knapp and seconded by Director Kelly to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Aye.
President Livette? Yes. Director Knapp?
Yes.
Thank you. The consent agenda is approved as presented. Next up is our new business portion of our meeting, and we would like to welcome back to the podium our for our Career and Technical Education School to Work report, Lisa Rodino, our AHS School to Work. Welcome back.
So we are gonna start with what my goals were for last year. Hopefully improved connections with Open Doors college-bound students, McKinney and Foster, connecting with more students and businesses in the industry for more job shadows, arrange more field trips for students to visit industries and connect with middle schools. So how did I do that this year? Last year, not this year. I brought in lots of in our construction classes and printed which helps with the Construct a Career website. It's a fabulous website the state of Washington has, much easier. It basically lays out a lot of the apprenticeships and how to get there, what you need, and contact information, as well as wage information for beginning apprentices. And then also brought in GIS, also bringing a lot of financial investing, bank insurance to the classes as well. Girls Build at RAP and Student of Color Conference is also the WAVE Tour, the Washington Apprenticeship Vocational. Did those again last year. Did include Amtech, that was a new one last year. Also just did an Amtech field trip this past, like last week. And then there was an Echo Tour exploring careers and health opportunities, and the Maritime event at Port of Everett. So again, trying to get our kids just to explore. Events that I do, College and Career Fair this past 2 weeks ago, had 44 people, students from Stille Valley Learning Center. So was super excited about that. Over at the football field, staff sessions, which are the entry exams. Am I doing something there? The fall and the spring. This year, one of the ideas and possible with the CTE advisory board is to actually bring some of our advisory board members in to do the mock interviews. So we'll be working with that. Maybe did a specific presentation as well as the Air Force year. I did get into the middle school. I was down there for two full days. I did a career exploration 1 and 2. Career exploration 2 did not go very well. That was a little bit, it was a little bit too much for them. So also having it in the shops was a little bit difficult because of hearing. So I'm going to hopefully connect with the principals to maybe get into English classes, but we also know that teaching is a priority. So that's kind of a balance. FAFSA, that was kind of, it was not a good. So in the spring, I ended up spending a lot of time doing a lot of one-on-ones with students and families to try to get that done. In the state of Washington, only 50%. I have a feeling that they're going to either, FAFSA is also delayed this year. It will not come out until December 1st, because I can now to do their FSA IDs and to get the parchment accounts. I've been told not to do a FAFSA night in December. Let it roll out. Let it roll out. Hopefully it will be, and then in January, we'll bring everybody back together once we roll it out. Hopefully that will look a little bit better this year. I'm hoping it did get simplified. It went from 100 questions down to 36.
Wow.
So it has been simplified. But yeah. And then also one of the things is working with the McKinney-Vento and Foster students. They're a little difficult to work with because sometimes I don't know about them. But when I do find out about them, the world really opens up to them a lot whenever we start talking about college and financial aid and all of the opportunities that are open to them. Have already had a handful this year, have much better relationships and working with students, but there's also trust issues there that we need to kind of like combat. So working with them gently, but realizing and allow them to see all of the opportunities that are available to them once we get financial aid done and all the support there is for them. Work-based learning. 10 students inquired about work-based learning last year, and I had Dr. Sweeting can attest to this. I switched to job shadowing. I really couldn't get a lot of the students. There is about, 16 to 17, 18 pages of things that students have to do for work-based learning. I have to go do a site visit. I have to talk. There has to be evaluations. And once the students realize that I'm gonna have a conversation with their boss, sometimes they're like, yeah, well, not so much, we're good. So we switched to job shadowing, and I did teaching, elementary, social workers, psychologists, Washington State 911, Snohomish County 911, electrical apprenticeship. So I really had the opportunity to connect students on a smaller basis, whether it was a half day or a full day job shadow. And one of the things that I don't know if I've said here before, but a couple years ago, one of the students was like, I want to be a kindergarten teacher. I'm like, that's fabulous. They came back and they were like, I do not want to be a kindergarten teacher. That's fantastic. I'm like, that's great. But that's the whole thing. I've already worked, I have my first 2 job shadows going out this week. One is going to first grade teacher, and one is going to Granite Falls High School. It's kind of weird to have a high school student in our district to kind of shadow. So I tapped on some shoulders, and so she'll be job shadowing a history teacher, so we can see what that looks like. We'll go ahead and skip this. I already did that. And then my goals this year, hopefully getting into senior classes earlier. I've already been in 3 classes at the high school. I have probably met with over 100 students in September, starting to get on what are we doing, how are we going to get there, what does it look, all of those things. I'm getting hopefully into one more this next week, and then the other one hopefully by the end of October. Learning more about pre-apprenticeship programs. Some of the apprenticeship programs are just closed. The Northwest Electrical Union up in Burlington has not been accepting applications for almost a year. They may start accepting them in January. HUD, it's difficult to become an electrician. I feel like there's the big pendulum swing and everybody wants to go into electricity. Apprenticeship programs for them to actually get some education, schooling, and trust people to try to get them up. I'm starting this classes for Open Doors kids. Just talk about basic budgeting and where does your money go and how do you get money in and what are you willing to sacrifice? Those conversations. I've got 5 lessons planned out, and hopefully we'll get some at least a couple of students because we want it to really be more of an interactive conversation about what does that look like. And then hopefully at the end of the year, getting into junior classes to start doing the preparing for your senior year. So kind of what I'm doing with students sometimes need to hear things 2 and 3 and 4 times before they actually hear it. So the more I can kind of have them listen, then hopefully by next year we'll be off and running.
Going to a place where, I don't know if I would say mean to have students have a credit or a half a credit a course, something in line with on having that more automated where students, it's part of their learning that they will have some kind of job experience before graduation.
I mean, I think any times that you can have the student have some kind of experience, not only hard skills, but the soft skills. Learning the soft skills, learning to not show up in your PJs. Maybe, even whenever I have conversations about students wanting to go out to get a job, saying, okay, if you're gonna go in and walk in there, dress for what it is. I think some of the classes that we have do the 21st century skills. So I think some of that is built in, and I think it's nice when it's built into a particular subject. But then you also have your business math that's talking about, some of those types of things necessarily needs to be a specific class, but I think incorporating it more into something that makes sense and it's more one section of it. But I think that really gives the opportunity for those mock interviews and those types of things. I think career readiness is super important because the students don't do this. My tendency is the students don't. Let's just call them. They're like, you're gonna call them on the phone. I'm like, we're gonna pick up the phone right now and just call. And send them to be proud of themselves with what they have, because students don't have a lot of work experience, and that's okay. You have to start somewhere. But if you're confident and let's start building that little by little, and it doesn't have to be a job. Let's talk about the skills you can learn doing everyday things.
About
It really is. I mean, because they can say 2 + 2 is 7. I work with students a lot with that word.
And the other question I have, when you said you were not as in touch with, let's say, McKinney-Vento and foster kids, what does that mean? Does that mean that students who are or they're not on your radar? Like, what does that?
Some of them are not on my radar, and
Okay.
some of, I have the do, and we can make that connection. That's fantastic.
Okay,
And we have that opportunity, but it's not like I can run a list,
right.
and I keep those conversations with them. But sitting down one-on-one, then we can start building the trust and they can have that confidence. Because it's a very different process for a student who's on a company to do FAFSA and to go to college than it is for a student with a family. I can do that with them, just them.
Okay.
I can help get them housing at EVCC. So there are lots of things that I can help them do.
People are, so I don't feel like it's a faculty issue.
Oh,
They're
no,
not,
no,
right.
no, no, no.
So just a matter of just being dialed to me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, the college bound kids, I mean, those are lower income students, which there are lots and lots of resources. And I think for so long sources, I can't do it. And I'm like, I mean, I just met with a student the other day. Things are really hard right now. They're really hard. Let's just look at a month from now. Let's say all of this is settled. What if I could tell you you could go to college for free? What if I told you, I mean, what? Really? And so I'm like, okay, let's get through this next month. Okay. And then let's talk.
Break down some barriers, it sounds like. To
Absolutely.
Good for you, thank you.
Do you ever have students who have graduated email you?
Yes. Actually, some of my best conversations happen after graduation.
Yeah.
Because they're ready to listen ever, just once. I ask students summer after graduation because they're like, I have to do something. What do I do for our graduates who want to come back to have those conversations, or to Zoom or to whatever? Because once again, it's a very, very different conversation that happens then as when they're in school.
Thank you for what you do. Any other questions? Do our student advisors have any questions about this program? All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Next up on our agenda is our post-middle school replacement capital levy informational videos. Information, and we're going to welcome Gary Sable, our director.
Good evening, directors. Gary Sable, Director of Communications. What I'm going to show you tonight is a sampling of the videos that we worked with our vendors, 360 for, as you know, the election. They're kind of recycled, if you will, meaning we didn't have to do a whole new production shoot of all the new videos, new voiceovers, things like that. So they were actually able to take existing videos from the February 2024 election and kind of recycle them. And so let's
There we go.
thank you very much.
I love the staff and the students most about post-middle school. We have just a phenomenal group of educators coming together.
We have 2 middle schools and both have amazing students and staff. but there is a distinct contrast between the two. Haller was remodeled in 2006 and Post was built in 1981. And so the design of 1981 is not serving the needs for the 21st century.
The differences between Post and Haller structures were so outdated compared to their infrastructure they have. We've really struggled with ventilation and pieces when we're bringing in laser cutters and some of the higher pieces of technology that other middle schools are able to offer their kids.
Safety and security, we have been focusing on that as a district. So at Post, sites do not allow for a secure.
One of the areas of the school floods.
Facing Post is important so that not just half of our middle schoolers here in Arlington are
investing, putting in capital levy investing. So a big part.
It's just, yeah.
There's a lot of money doing it this way. I know we're into this capital levy. I also want to mention that our maintenance and custodial crew doing an amazing job at Post Middle School. Has nothing to do with. It's just the school is deficient. It needs a lot. Yeah, so that's the whole point of that. But this video is about it. This is a new one actually they created, and I like this because they recycled some videos, but also put together some interesting things. So this next one. Very straightforward to get the message across. And so, I mean, I think that does a really nice job. Plus it's animated. It just kind of mixes up a little bit, unlike our other ones, which are great as well. But I think having that animation just kind of appeals to it, maybe a different audience. Yeah, of course.
Gary, how do our custodians have to go into a website to see it, or how?
So I've been sharing on the district social media accounts.
Okay.
So it's pushed out that way.
Okay.
It's on our district YouTube channel, our school's family newsletter. It's through Constant Contact. They just click on the little video link.
Yeah.
Takes them right to you.
We're not putting any billboards out to kind of, it says how we spend it, but not,
those all over.
Not for-
In every school we have.
right, but not like this current one with the piggy and
So
the
the
pencils.
district,
Yeah.
it has to be very careful in how they manage their.
Gotcha,
other
gotcha,
things.
that's
Right.
right, yeah, that's something else,
Is it right?
okay.
Yeah, and the capital levy that was passed. in
Right,
February.
instead of how we
Yes.
spend our money, which I thought that's nice.
voters, and they're pretty impressive.
Yeah, I really like that. I really like that. So, okay, so just clarifying this, just simple, and I think when we understand. Good time to the chart.
So the next one, again, there's probably 5 or 6 different, I didn't want to show all of them because it's shorter or longer depending on how they're used. And so I wanted to show just kind of a sampling of some of the different ones that we have.
Important so that not just half of our middle schoolers here in Arlington are in a learning environment that meets the 21st century needs, but is safe and secure and efficient and promotes learning and promotes.
The last one I wanted to show, because that's another a little bit unique one video, you'll notice there's like those little 15-second ads or something. So this is that quick little, those annoying videos that pop up for yeah, sure, watch your main video. So,
But it has a voice of love.
right, yeah, there you go. So then that would go right into your video, so you can skip the ad.
So really,
Just all these different places.
Yeah, just different ways of looking at it.
nice. Yep, makes sense.
So again, so balance strong. Thursday. Check out the, I guess it'd be Our Schools community newsletter. It's we have it as an e-version now. It's no longer printed as a
Okay.
cost saving measure. So
Yep.
all of you will receive that.
I missed the calendar, but I understand.
Another cost saving. Yeah, printing is, if you don't know,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
astronomical. It's incredibly expensive. So.
Thank you, Gary, very much for the presentation and for speaking on our behalf, always. Next up is our one action item. It's our 2025 legislative priorities. And we're going to have Dr. Sweeting and Director Kelly.
Get ready. Yes, thank you. I'm hoping that I'll just start by saying that the board previously had 5 items as priority. We aligned our priorities with what other organizations are putting forth, with the idea that if these 3 things are taken care of, they will benefit all 295 districts in the state of Washington. And I'll let Director Kelly talk about maybe the special ed one and then bounce back.
Just a week or October 7th, 2 weeks ago or something. And what was interesting, Marissa has done a great job. They had it sectioned up by what each board member, I just feel that folks are so busy and all, and it just seemed a little much to ask each of the meetings. So sometimes they seem by name, they can feel redundant. So you have to really go in. So I gone through this and really, some of Erica's, and I think, the other feedback we had from, back to me, let's see. Yes. Oh yeah, Nicole had written. So I came up, I solidified, and again, they're not in order of importance. Climate impact mitigation assistance, equity-based education system, full funding of basic education, support for special education programs, literacy, mental health supports and counseling access, MSOC funding, support for school-based health centers, and transportation funding. So I encapsulated the 3, but that's really not the appropriate word. But I think aligning ourselves with other districts give us a stronger voice. And I know you said with WASA.
So tonight that was, and so within the area of special education, for example, for 23-24, we out of local fund, $5 million that we for our students that have special education needs. And it's essential because it's their basic education. And so it is paramount to fund our basic ed. And so we're asking and we're urging the legislators to fully fund the special ed and not just to increase, have the percentage, but also the multipliers, because they do this unique way of funding that has to do with the different tiers 1, 2, and 3. The second item is to use for funding our transportation. And so that stands for Student Transportation Allocation Reporting System, so for short STARS. And so the actual cost to use local funds rather than from the state, because that was not provided, $300,000. So that's because the system that they use, the STAR system, does not, it's done like how the crow flies. So when they look at the routes, it doesn't like the lakes or the rivers or the bridges or the mountains, and it doesn't account for that. It also does not account for when we provide must provide transportation for our students that are accidental or that are in foster care that might be outside of our boundaries. So that's what that all districts. The final one is to fix the MSOCs, and MSOCs is our material supplies and operating costs, such as an example here is our insurance. So when I arrived in Arlington in 2016, our insurance for our risk insurance was $326,000. This year, 1.3 million. And so the inflationary factor, the cost of insurance, all of that, what we've been receiving from the state has not kept up with that. So we're asking the state to fix that.
Like I said, that you're think, oh, it's going to be this percentage higher. It's just not on our radar. And when you said about the insurance, that was a big discussion as well. We need some straight numbers on, especially for MSOC. But I'm wondering, like for the transportation, are you making legislature adequate transportation recommend, I asked that because I know, so I'm wondering if,
I think if they have, and I don't know the ins and outs of stars.
Yeah.
But if they can have I'm sure somebody has something that can do this, or maybe even a little click in stars.
okay, you're saying there should, yeah, because I mean, the region up here is a lot of rural pathways.
Or, and I'm not the expert, and we have safety net right now, maybe there needs to be a safety net for transportation, where maybe you have these excess costs. I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess in terms of availability, and we want these in substantiate, say, yes, you're giving us numbers, which is great. My alter for that is, that has some value too, and that maybe that's even something to ask our legislators, like legislators, saying, this is what we want to see change. Can you help us to craft something that will like
Suggest, if I may, I would suggest that they would just use like Google Maps and the distance, like. I mean, that sounds good.
I know, yeah, I got some logic there, Mary.
But even though there's only 3 here, it's true, there are many other issues that we would want to benefit all districts, and that's why there's 3 there. So-
And the big thing, my big takeaway after the General Assembly was ample. They absolutely, this is funny to me, they actually had to define the word ample. So we were trying to make it very clear to the legislature what that means. It means what you're doing now is not ample. It does not meet that definition. So here's the definition, bring it up to meet that definition. So that is very much, as we say, top of mind for a lot of people. And I think these are very solid for sure.
So they're here before the board for consideration of approval.
Thank you. Do our student advisors have any questions about what we're gonna vote on? We're gonna ask the students for their student advisory vote.
I don't think I have
Any questions? Something you could vote for, would you say yes or no?
I would say yes.
Right. How about you?
I would also say yes. I want to emphasize that I think as a reader, it helps that there's only 3 options instead of 5. 5 felt overwhelming. And I think because we can kind of solidify our grounds with other districts, like they were saying, that we can almost not like join the crowds, how do you phrase it, but kind of work with other districts and saying, hey, this is what everyone needs right now. We also push for these.
Thank you. And how would you vote for them?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so our both of our student advisors have voted yes, and we now will need the board to make a motion.
Make a motion to approve the 2025 legislative priorities.
I'll second. It's been moved by Director Kelly and seconded by Director Knapp to approve the Arlington Public Schools legislative priorities for 2025.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Director Watts,
Aye.
President Levesque,
Aye.
Director Knapp.
Aye. All right, those are approved. Thank you very much for that presentation and all that information and all the advocacy. Next up is our first reading of Board Policy 6020, System of Funds and Accounts. And I hear there's fun in that word, funds, so
That
welcome.
must be something I need to remember here. This is a time to systematically review the policies that we have, make sure they're up to date, make sure that we have encompassed any law changes. And sometimes these can get really old and you read them and you find out, wow, we're not using that word to describe this at all anymore. And the first reading of this particular policy, looking at what WASDA, they provide a model policy. So I have gone through and reviewed that. I've looked for any other little changes and any of the changes that they have suggested. And so you can kind of see what these are by the red highlighting and the strike through. There's not a lot of substantive change. It's really, and especially that very first bullet is just collapsing the bullets down to agree to how WAS does this today. Bit of a change under the capital verified to make sure that the policy acknowledges some of the things that would be considered a capital projects purchase with different kinds of financing options, or when it's a lease or an installment purchase contract for school plant facilities. It's interesting that they call it a plant facility. That's kind of a accounting term, but it means a building. in the school district. And we don't really have this. It's kind of a not super common, but nonetheless, it should be acknowledged because you can run into it. So it's included there. And then there is a law change that is being put in here. The last page where it talks about the transportation vehicle fund. It just lists as one of the complete or decommissioned.
The school district has.
Use transportation vehicle fund monies to complete that feasibility.
Oh,
plan,
nice.
Because they're required, but a plan of what it would cost and what legal things would need to be done to be able to use transportation because they're super restricted. You can pretty much only buy yellow buses with that money. So it is, and so yeah, it acknowledges that that is an allowable use of those funds.
Any questions or suggestions? Changes? Besides what is being presented. I don't hear, appreciate keeping us all informed and up to date. Next up is our informational items. I'd like to start with Dr. Sweetie.
Well, first, I have to say happy birthday to Director Diamond, who is not here today, but
Yes.
you'll watch this later maybe, and I wish you a happy birthday. Next, I'd like to say that today is Indigenous Peoples' Day, and it's the second Monday of October that is set aside across our nation to honor Native American cultures and traditions. The Arlington School District, we value and extremely are grateful for the partnership that we have with our local tribes, and that we work really closely with the Still-Squamish Education and Cultural Departments to increase our understanding and our knowledge of the tribal traditions and ways. And we also work together with them so that we have support for our youth, and also that we have a true, authentic connection with the Sense Time and Memorial curriculum, so it is aligned with our local tribal history. So I just want to honor that today. And a few weeks ago, I didn't do this a few weeks ago, but on September 30th, it was set aside as an Orange Shirt Day. And that's to honor the tribal families and children and elders that were impacted by the federal Indian boarding schools situation that happened. And the reason why it's an Orange Shirt Day, as I mentioned before, is that it was during the time when the children, the Native American children, were sent to residential boarding school from that child. So symbolic that they were caused to do something that was uncomfortable and not good. So, and then the next thing I wanted to share was some thank you notes. So last year, the donation from the Mayo McGuire scholarship that we put forth was a total of $50,000 in different, like we had $2,500 each scholarships. There was 2 renewable scholarships, so that together was quite a bit. So these are, I'm going to do 5 for the next couple board meetings, and I'm not going to put names. I'm just going to want them to hear how appreciative the students are. Thank you so much for choosing me for the McGuire scholarship. I wasn't sure how I was going to help people. Thank you for giving me this in my life. The scholarship will save for the first year expense college, and that will help their dreams come true. I would use this scholarship toward my tuition expense as a freshman at Western Washington University. I really appreciate your help and wish you all the best. Thank you for choosing me to receive this scholarship. I cannot express how much you will help me. I appreciate your kindness and will go on to do great things with the support you have shared. Thank you for awarding me the Merrill McGuire Mayo Endowment Scholarship. I will be using this money for my tuition for my first year. I would like to thank you for this opportunity and your generosity in funding the Merrill McGuire Mayo Endowment Scholarship. Thanks for your generosity. I will be continuing my education at Everett Community College and hope to continue my education studying journalism. My educational pursuits with the help of your generous donations will help me towards my passions and career. Thank you again. Last one for tonight. Thank you for selecting me to receive the Merrill McGuire Mail Endowment Scholarship. Your generous support means a lot to me, and I will continue. It will help me pursue my passion for environmental science. Thank you. So with that,
Join me.
the joint meeting we do, so we approved the legislative priorities, and it'll be exciting to meet with the Lakewood Board next Monday night, and we'll share our legislative priorities, and they'll share their legislative priorities and ways that we're sharing that with our community and legislators.
Very good. Next up, we have our legislative.
Just I'm looking forward to meeting about that is coming to fruition next week. I think that's great to meet with a sister district. And I was glad to see the reporting for the board update with Rep. Shavers came in through. He's been, seems like within the month, he's had a couple of visits. So I think, again, more time we can have folks from Olympia walking through our halls. I think that's great. And they get to see for themselves the struggles and the successes, and gratitude for what they do in Olympia that helps support us, but also that more is needed, right? That we're going to continue to have that asked. I will mention to my friends, if you haven't seen it yet, but I did. So that's my job I'm running for. It's like twice a year. Pardon me? I am.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put it up there, still running, doesn't hurt to vote for your people you love. And so yeah, so it's District 1, so they get folks from across the state. So I think for D1, no one. And I have been thinking, I thought about resolutions committee, and it would be essential to have the skills to do that job well. And it feels to me like it's nice to just kind of start and kind of get your bearings and move up. That is something other areas I want to pursue, but I'm excited, and if I get on, that'd be great. And I just understanding, I think all of us have that encompasses the educational experience, so we cool. So
Thank you. Your sponsorship slate.
Okay,
On your behalf.
thank you.
Next up, would you like to share anything with us? How's school going?
So it's going pretty good. I actually I set the curve in my stats class last week. And it's kind of crazy. I'm taking 2 English classes this year, so I'm taking social justice or literature of social justice and AP language and but it's okay. I enjoy it. I really like English. It's like my strongest subject that I like. It's my favorite. So outside of school, I went to the football game last Friday. It was very exciting. Actually. I was really surprised at though our last few games have been like so the scores have been so different. I thought Stanwood would give us a little bit of competition, and they just didn't. But it was exciting. I really like going to that game. It was my favorite game of the year. Besides homecoming, everyone's very active. I'm excited to see how far we go this year, because last year. So yeah, I think that's
Yeah. All right, Nathan, do you want to share anything with us?
Yeah, well, as some of you know, I'm struggling fighting with torn vocal cords, so I've been recovering with that from homecoming and screaming at the homecoming game. That was lovely, but I do want to say thank you to a couple of people before you absolutely didn't have to, but it's nice to see community members and teachers and staff come in to address us. So thank you. I also want to thank the students and Mrs. Regina for coming in, sharing their journeys throughout high school and looking into apprenticeships and internships and seeing what they want to do. As a student, it's really impactful because I can see my peers kind of having these opportunities and taking that kind of leap of faith and knowing it's not the end all be all if you don't like something and you try it, and that's okay. You don't have to. It gets really overwhelming as a student. So I all figured out, and I'm sure adults 20 years down the line, when I'm hopefully a father with a family, I still won't have it all figured out. But it's really important to keep your head up and to realize that there are so many different ways to talk to.
Thank you, Devin. Wise beyond your years. Appreciate you. Director Kelly, anything else you'd like to share with us tonight?
I would like to say thank you to Arlington and Lakewood for having student conferences, parent conferences earlier this year. I'm not sure why it seems to have taken so long to move that. I don't know how to say move it back, or time to have that. What was happening with my grade, but for other students, if you have time to fix things. I really not. So just, I'm trying to enjoy the fall. It's a lovely time, but it's also just that repetition of routine. And yeah, it's just a very full, like 3-4 months of the year. So it's going well. Thanks.
Director Knapp, anything you'd like to share with us?
There is, and Ms. Rodino and the students, it's always fun to have people come. And Andrea Dixon Hundred. I think what is kind of all encompassing for me tonight is thinking about the importance of being able to take risks in our students. Thinking about, I wanted to talk about the homecoming game, and the band did something new and they took a risk and laid their instruments down and started dancing, and it was amazing. We can celebrate that. And sometimes it goes the way you want to. Yes, bless you. I've just been thinking about that a lot, and how I really just love to see these students being allowed to question to say, yes, that worked, or no, it didn't, and finding another path and just having that support. It's really awesome. And myself coming from, I reflect on my own youth and my schooling experience. I didn't go to public school, to a very small school, and I was told that I couldn't go to college, and there was nobody there to guide me through this. And so I love now to be able to see that and to support that in our district. And I am going to college. I'm pursuing a bachelor's degree. So I mean, that's what I wanted to do. So, there's different paths, but I think just thinking about the value of taking risks. Beautifully said. Thank you for sharing. I love the internship in the healthcare. Just speaks to my little nurse heart, because they need nurses so badly, and they would like to share. So the hole in the wall race for cross country was this last weekend. My son had a fabulous race. The varsity was really just together as a group, and they strategized for the next few weeks. And this wasn't prompted, and I thought that is what they're learning in this. And I'm so excited to see.
Our students are so lucky. They have so many great opportunities to grow up and serve our community. As a band mom, cheering on the band, and then the football team also did super great. It was like the best of the best. And I just love what our band is capable of. It's just incredible leadership. It's spilling over besides just human, where he's actually Mr. Aguilar would want me to do this, and Mr. Aguilar would want me to do this. They're a better kid, and I think it's because of the great leadership of his teachers and coaches and all the great adults that he gets to rub shoulders with.
And I love seeing the football
team cheering on the band half the time. It's pretty neat. I wanted to share that I had the wonderful privilege of visiting schools. We went to see Haller and Presidents with Clyde Shavers, who's so engaged in learning about our schools and what our struggles are. But it was so refreshing to go into a classroom and see little kids learning about health and like, oh, I need that too. And oh, I can breathe. Yeah, this is great. And like when we're grown-ups, we need that too. So it's so great to see little kids learning about all of the great things academically, but then also how to take good care of themselves and each other. And seeing our middle schoolers and all their creativity and just how engaged they are in learning. It's just so much fun and so rewarding for me as a school board member to see students learning in action and to see what our little decisions that we make in this room, how they trickle down into the buildings and into the, it's just tremendous, wonderful. If there's nothing else, I would like to share our next meetings, and Dr. Sweeting did mention our next meeting is our special joint board meeting with our Lakewood School District neighbor school, and that's at school library. And then we also have our next meetings here in this building is our study session. That's upstairs in the Lincoln Room at 4 o'clock, and our regular meeting is down here in the boardroom at 6 p.m. and those are both on Monday, October 28th. So the next 2 Mondays, we're busy. So if there's nothing else to add, would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Make a motion.
Hi, Director Watts to adjourn the meeting. Madam Clerk. Director Kelly.
Aye.
Director Watts. Aye.